What's up, everybody? On today's episode of the Ango Show, we're going to talk about some more WWE signings, an AEW announcement that I actually think is really cool, and we're going to talk about an injury update on Rhea Ripley, and it's all coming up right here on TAS. All right, guys. Well, today it's an interesting day, so let's just kick it off with Rhea Ripley. Rhea Ripley becoming injury prone. Obviously, she can't help it. Injuries, mistakes, things happen. It's just the way it is, man. But PWInsider.com has now reported that there is actually no timetable for Rhea Ripley's return. The internal hope is that the injury may not be as bad as initially feared, and Ripley has actually been earmarked for a big role at WrestleMania 41. So here's the thing, right? Like, WWE's got this storyline with Liv, Raquel, and Rhea Ripley. And because of Rhea's injury, I'm afraid that whatever is next for Liv Morgan essentially guarantees that Liv Morgan will be holding the championship until Rhea Ripley is ready to return. And I don't know if I necessarily like that. You could set up multiple different programs for Liv Morgan, but it just seems like Triple H is so dead set on this storyline. And obviously the storyline is having some success to a degree. So it just feels like this is one of those things where WWE is going to ultimately feel predictable. Regardless of who they put in front of Liv Morgan, it just seems like WWE is going to go back to the idea of Rhea versus Liv. Now, I know this is going to sound kind of crazy, but I do think this would be the right way to go about it. I wouldn't mind WWE shocking everybody and having somebody take the belt off of Liv Morgan. That's not Rhea Ripley and not a returning Becky Lynch. Like, it would be really cool for them to have somebody randomly take the belt off of her and then allow Rhea Ripley and Liv Morgan to continue their feud. And then eventually, if you want Rhea Ripley to go after the title, they can do that. I think with this injury, with her being sidelined, we don't know how long it's going to be. And let's say it is until WrestleMania 41. Let's say she's not cleared until then. That's a lot of time for Liv Morgan essentially to be doing filler feuds to make up for the fact that Rhea is not there. And that's one of the things I actually kind of don't like about WWE is that it's cool to have the long-term plans and the long-term visions, and I like that and I love that. But sometimes when injuries happen, you have to call audibles. And in other times when this has happened in WWE under Triple H's regime, sometimes we just get a whole bunch of filler until they get back to that. And I understand why they do that, but at the same time, too, I think it is necessary for WWE to understand it's okay to change up things. Rhea and Liv, obviously, their storyline does revolve around the title, but if Liv Morgan were to not have the title, I still think they could tell the storyline and it would just be as fine. All right, guys, Tony Khan and AEW have a really cool announcement. AEW has issued a press release. This announcement is very cool. All Elite Wrestling announced a special AEW All-In Texas kickoff party on Wednesday, November 20th from 6 to 9 p.m. Central Time at Texas Live in Arlington. This is actually a free event, and it's open to the public, and basically people will be able to come out. There's going to be photo opportunities with the stars of AEW, Ring of Honor. There's going to be rare AEW memorabilia displays. There's going to be exclusive AEW merchandise for purchase. There's going to be special AEW giveaways. They'll be able to watch AEW Dynamite live, so it's kind of like a watch party, which is pretty cool. All the fans in attendance will also have the first opportunity to purchase tickets for AEW All In before they go to the sale, to the general public. Right now, AEW did announce that Dustin Rhodes, Jeff Jarrett, Thunder Rosa, Athena, Sammy Guevara, the Outrunners, and Abaddon are all scheduled to be there. You might be wondering, hey, like, Ango, this is not really that big of an announcement. It's not that big of a deal. Look, it is, because AEW doesn't do conventions like WWE. AEW doesn't have a superstar experience memorabilia thing, in Saudi Arabia. They don't have these fanatics conventions. They don't do these things where they're like set up in other places. And I think what's really cool about this is, if you want to create excitement about an event, if you want to make things a big deal, if you want people to essentially, get invested in your product, and you offer something like this, which, by the way, is free, it's kind of like a no-brainer. I think there's a lot of people who will go to this that are obviously AEW fans, but if you're not a fan of professional wrestling and you're walking by and you're like, hey, what is this? it might be enticing to check it out. And I think that's a really cool thing for AEW, and I think those are the kind of things that are necessary. I think WWE's involvement and being everywhere and having like these little, conventions or whatever, like it's a really cool thing. WWE for a long time was calling them WWE Access or whatever. But like, to me, this is kind of reminiscent of that. But the cool thing is it's also going to be in a situation where they could watch the show live at the event. So like you could kind of do like a watch party, and then, if I were AEW, I would do this for all of their pay-per-views. If it's a free event, I don't know how much money financially like they are going to be gambling with here. I don't know if it's a big loss, but I can imagine that being involved in these communities where pay-per-views are happening, it's going to be a great way to create excitement. Might even generate more ticket sales. It might even generate just a little bit more of that positive like community outreach stuff, because AEW and WWE are involved with the communities. Like you can tie things like this into that, and I just think it's overall a really good idea. Very cool announcement. I hope it works out for them. I hope people are actually interested as well. WWE ID, more WWE ID signings. Yeah, I mean, it's literally happening. WWE is going after everybody in the independents. They revealed a video with William Regal offering 2 prospects at SmackDown a contract. Marcus Mathers from GCW was offered a WWE ID contract, and Sam Holloway from International Wrestling Cartel, he was given a new ID contract. Sean Legacy from Augusta, Georgia, he's from Pro Wrestling Revolution. Sean Legacy has been given a WWE ID contract. And Zara Zakir, the petite powerhouse, has also been given a contract. And we did talk about it the other day on the live stream as well on the channel. But Jack Summit, a.k.a. Jack Cartwheel from GCW, you might have seen them floating around in ROH. He's also been given a WWE ID contract. So I'm familiar with some of these names. Some of them I am not. I've said this before. I think it's a really cool thing to like see who they're signing and what they're doing. I have a lot of question marks in regards to WWE ID. These people aren't signed by WWE in the sense that WWE is going to put them on Raw, SmackDown, or NXT. But it's like WWE ID was originally announced as like, hey, we're partnering with a few schools. This is what it is. Now we're seeing people from other major indies getting involved here. How does it work if Tony Khan is like, hey, I want to sign Jack Cartwheel. Like, we've used him before. I want to sign him. Does WWE allow them to sign? I don't know. But we just got more WWE signings, and WWE is giving them a path to get to WWE. It's a very, very big question mark as to how all of this works. What kind of exclusivity does WWE have with them? There's going to be a lot of questions. There's going to be a lot of confusion here. But it's interesting seeing WWE going after more indie wrestlers. That's the big thing. College athletes, Olympians, cool. But now they're going after indie wrestlers, and they're not going after the biggest names either. I want to see what they do next, and I'm very intrigued by this. Ladies and gentlemen, that is the Ango Show.